Hey everybody, my name is Waldog. Just got home. It is all rainy outside. You might be able to hear some raindrops. Um, just sitting here, a comfy chair, my blankie. I got home without getting all drenched because one of my friends, one of my coworkers, helped me. And as you can tell, I'm glowy. Got a lot of vampire energy, and I'm feeling pretty good. I've actually recorded a few videos on my other phone, but they didn't upload correctly, and they were kind of sad. So it doesn't really matter, right? Nobody really wants to watch my sad videos, anyways. Like I don't even want to watch them, but I do them anyways because they're helpful. But so yeah, trying to think. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like not so much regretful, but to be honest, I don't really understand myself in a lot of ways. Like I do trust my decision making, but at the same time, it's like, what am I doing? Sometimes it's like, is this the best decision? And like the vampire inside of me, or like the spiritual nature inside of me, the spiritual, or just what my gut and all of that combined is telling me. It's like, yeah, go ahead. Or maybe it's like I'm in a bad mood, right? Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I gotta let this out, and I'm just like, oh, I don't like how this is. I don't like the situation. I don't like where the situation is headed. And like, oh man. And then I like to think that it's just me making poor decisions at times, but it's really it's like I'm such a vampire. It's like my brain gets configured and situationally, and it's like the alpha in me, the vampire in me, spiritual nature in me, spiritual stuff. It's just like it's hard for me to I want to say take responsibility, but I can't. It's not a difficulty to take responsibility, but it's like it's so much spiritual stuff. It's like sometimes I'm like, yeah, look how cool I am. I'm original. I just came up with that, saying that, or oh man, I'm a terrible person. I just said that, but it's probably I didn't do it or say it to like, or maybe I was feeling like I don't know, but it's like it's not that I can't take responsibility. I can, but it's like it's difficult to explain. Like I know when I'm being all vampire-y, like I feel so different when I'm all glowy in different ways. Like right now, I'm very glowy as a vampire, but I get glowy as an alpha. And my skin looks like it's golden, almost not literally. It's like a golden hue. But the thing is like the way that I describe it is that it like I feel the energy, and I just like the energy. I just use it in different ways, and then it works through me, and I'm like doing things like being just how I feel, or and I'm like suddenly very talkative, and like not like manipulative. That's the one thing I would say, like when I'm in this description that I'm saying right now, like I mean, and even that, the word manipulative, being manipulative, it's so difficult for me as a vampire because it's like I'm being manipulated in a way, because I have that spiritual thing inside of me, you know. And at times, or maybe at all times, it's hard to, separate sometimes for me, um, rationally speaking, in a logical perspective. But it's like, I think what I'm really trying to say is that, I'm trying to figure out if I should feel bad or feel good for certain things because when I am, in a higher state of being, I'm it's like looking through, it's like, besides all like the feelings and the energy and stuff like that, it's like through it's like when I see through my eyes, it's like I'm seeing through. You ever see this phone? You're like, I don't know if you ever seen like a camera, like you're taking a video recording of a phone, like you have two phones and there's one phone looking at another phone, and the other phone is, looking at whatever, but there's like two phones, two cameras. That's how I would describe what I see through my eyes. And it's kind of, I'm used to it. It is kind of overwhelming to talk about, but when I am, like that happened tonight, where it was like I could see like my arms, like I'm clearly, whoa, that's not a big surprise. Like, oh, those are my arms. I'm just like looking down or whatever. But it's like I'm not looking as I would normally look. I'm looking through like two, um, it's like there's the camera of my eyes and then there's another camera, and it's kind of it's weird. And but I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Uh, so I've kind of gotten used to it. I mean, there's a lot of things I've gotten used to. I just I don't freak out about that stuff. Supernatural stuff. You know, for me personally, like I used to be very sheltered. Hiding under a rock. Uh, I'm still very much. I've got. I don't know how to say this, but it's like I know I've got all it. My brain, the way it works, and the way you know the spiritual stuff works. I'm not thinking about everything all the time, and if I am thinking about different things, I'm not doing it. Like it's the other spiritual stuff, the other spiritual things. You know, it's not me as Wally. It's like I'm just kind of along for the ride, so to speak. Having fun, kind of. I'm still able to resist the spiritual stuff, but I have reached a point where I don't really resist very much at all, and because I trust the spiritual stuff. But there's another. I think that's like a fire alarm or something. You need to change the battery. Sorry about that. But there are times when I feel like to be extra careful in certain situations. I do just go ahead and power up in different ways, and to get more control of the situation. You know, I do want to be safe at times, extra safe. Why is it doing that? I think there's a lot of spiritual energy. Honestly, like I've noticed, like this was happening the other night, and when I was, I think at the time I was thinking about some people I like, you know, and I was like, whatever, you know, and in a meditation or whatever, and it was just like going off randomly, you know. I'm like, I do feel a lot of spiritual pressure right now, like not a lot, but I do feel it. So, I mean, does spiritual stuff have effect on things besides people? Of course, yeah. like, yes. Like I've seen like, some things I don't really like to talk about, but like I've seen it. I've seen things affected that are not just people, you know, and so yeah. Fortunately, one of the best things about being a vampire is that numbness that I've trained, and the numbness to be able to not freak out. And it's a great, one of the greatest things, one of the greatest abilities that I'm extremely grateful for because I'm the type of person that would, that kind of, you know, would freak out or whatever. So when I see people, you know, who are getting to know me, who want to get closer to me, and they're like experimenting with me or whatever, you know, seeing, you know, how I react to different things, and you know, just getting to know me, and it's, I'm perfectly okay with it. I try to be like, you know, clearly it's like I'm doing something and a person comes up and they're like looking at me all weird. They're like testing, you know, and they're feeling their emotions and they're like pausing a lot, you know, they're like move, they'll do this thing or that thing and then they'll pause and be like evaluate you know, that kind of thing. And I realized that I used to be the same way, you know. Certain things I do it like that, like the learning process. But it does bother me. But I've learned to, you know, when I see that kind of learning behavior from other people, that I'm just, you know, patient, and usually I'm pretty good about, you know, it makes me feel bad. I'll just say that. Like, I'm usually, my reaction is like I'm looking down. And I'm just like, I don't, you know, I don't say anything, you know. But it makes me feel bad because it makes me feel like, makes me feel kind of nervous because I don't want to, because I realize that for people, you know, they're really like, you know, I don't want to accidentally like, you know, I want to be calm. I want to be, you know, just myself, you know. I don't want to be like moving around too quickly. I don't want to scare someone who's trying to learn about me because they like me. You know what I mean? I don't want to give them the wrong um, learning knowledge about me. I think that's important because when somebody learns something like that, you know, about a person or behavior, or their, you know, you can't, that's something for them, you know. It's and I realize that, I guess, kind of going off on a, there's a lot of spiritual pressure, by the way. I'm getting nervous. Like my feelings are like you can hear me while I was talking. I've got this like energy inside of me. It's just like nervousness. You know, that kind of icky feeling of like, man, I hope I'm saying the right thing. But also, yeah, see, do that shit. I'm gonna stop talking about it. I'm trying to. Try to calm down a little bit. It's the vampire inside of me that's getting irritated with me babbling, or I don't know, just like something spiritual in nature. Usually, if I'm babbling, the vampire inside of me will just like stop me, stop my thoughts, stop my, change how I'm thinking, and but clearly, I think I describe it as a separate subconscious, a separate being. Um, I think it has a lot of patience. I mean, I know it does, like, but it's also, I think it has a sense of humor. It has parts of me, um, something like that. I don't know. So it makes sense that, to me at least, it makes sense that, instead of sometimes changing the way I think, it allows me to continue trying to explain things rationally when it's just like, ugh. Like I can imagine, this like separate spiritual thing or whatever. It's just like, you're such an idiot. It doesn't talk to me, by the way. It doesn't talk at all. Sometimes I wish it does. It did. It'd be kind of cool. But then again, also, it'd be pretty annoying. So, yeah. But today was. I really don't remember shit about today. You know, kind of just like let it go. If I want to, I can recall. What I did today. But it's like, there's no point to it. It's mostly relaxed. I remember um, when I was one thing in particular. I was outside at one point. It was very, very peaceful, and I was meditating, and um, I was in some sort of vampiric mode. The sun out is nice, and I felt completely like in a peaceful, like it was just me, you know. It's like everything else was just. I sat like that, sat in that. I'm not sure what the right word is to describe it. It was new though. It was like a new thing, a new experience, type of experience. Um, it was like a new type of meditation that was like a first time, and I felt like away, escape from. It's like from everything. It's just me and whatever else, spiritual, but everybody else and everything, just and I felt surprised, and I felt very selfish. Like not inherently selfish, but the act of me being in that meditative um, place of us feeling selfish and guilty and bad. I was like, I can't stay here. I want to. It's peaceful. It's actually peaceful. I'm like, but it is nice. Um, there's something interesting that I want to talk about. The one thing that is for since the beginning of my understanding of spiritual stuff. So I've never could understand, why can't things just be perfect? Be, you know, why can't things just be at the best, most efficient? Why isn't the spiritual stuff just making things go right all the time? If it can just spontaneously happen, why aren't there miracles just happening all the time? You know, why is this situation happening? But in this situation, this is happening. Why? Why? And I just don't know. Can never could can't answer that question. I know a lot of other people have asked why. I don't know. I'm gonna end the video there. I'm gonna get some rest, and I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate everyone who supports me and loves me. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.